So this is an interesting one. Obviously, it's a Capcom game, and while we're doing the vertical shooters, I think this is the best vertical shooter Capcom released. It's one of the greatest vertical shooters of all time. This original board is Capcom's 1942. Now you could ask yourself, what are all these wires? I mean, it's all factory. I mean, this is Capcom. You can see the logo at the top. It just looks like a botch job. I think there are more wires. Yeah, there's the bottom board. So you've got another board going into all these patch wires across. And you think, what the hell is this? Well, what it actually is it's a conversion from an earlier game, Vulgus. So what Capcom did was used hardware that they'd already got to convert to 1942. And to prove that, I will get a Vulgus board out because I actually have one. But I'll be showing you some gameplay of 1942 next. It really is a fantastic shoot 'em up. I didn't realise it at the time. I used to play on the Commodore 64. It's a pretty basic version, but it is great to play 1942. It really is. There's something about it. I don't know the fella's name that did it. He's a famous fella who worked for Capcom. He did a lot of their games. I think he was involved with Ghosts and Goblins. I think he was involved with Black Tiger or Black Dragon. But he's a famous game designer that worked for Capcom before they released their CPS-1 system in about 1988. So this obviously predates all that. I will show you some gameplay next. So here it is, 1942, the classic Capcom game from 1984. This is why I love early arcade games like this, because they're so simple, they're so crude, but their gameplay is just perfect almost, and it lives on and on and on. And even to this day, I think this is just a great game. It's just so simple in its execution, but absolute joy to play. My OCD is going mad at the minute because the screen, well, it's not filling out the borders, so to speak. I could stretch it at the top and bottom, driving me a bit mad because I'm like that. But I'm not pulling the monitor out just for one game. I mean, if I alter that, it's going to alter everything else. So, yeah, I've gone on about it before with the Capcom Q. It's just a shame it doesn't have a remote control where you can actually adjust the monitor by a remote board from the front. Hey ho. Anyway, we'll carry on. I'll just have a game. But as I say, this game, I just always dismissed it as just basic, And you've got to remember, this came out in 1984, when you got games like Galaxian and Gallagher, Mooncaressa, simple space type shooting games like this one. But this, as you can see, took the genre in a whole new direction. Anyway, I'll put a credit in. There we go. The music's an acquired taste, but 1942. Just simple. But it's just, I don't know, it's the accessibility of it. It just plays so well. And it's the risk reward is there, The power-ups are not ridiculous and over the top, like in quite a few shooters like this. Nearly missed that one. There you go, first power up. And all it does is give you a wider shot, but it's not ridiculous. You still have to And I think that's why the game's so good, why I find it so good. The risk reward is there, and it's the same with all the classic games. The more risky you play, the better score you get. Yeah, 31 stages to go. Don't think I'll be doing that. It'll be a very long video if I was to do that. Yeah, let 2 go there. And this game, it's still not expensive really. You can get it for just over £100. You know, obviously this version, yeah, it's a miracle it works with all the wiring, but it plays perfectly. Smart bomb there. Ah, yes. They do get you from behind, which is slightly annoying. The play moves nice and fast, which I always like, as I moaned about in my last video with Lightning Fighters. Okay, that's level 2 done. Ah, just went the wrong way. So this game obviously predates CPS 1, the famous Capcom hardware from the late 80s. Right, I've now got 2 satellite or helper aircraft, which is nice. Oh, and I've lost one and I've died. Wonderful. Ah, dear. I usually do pretty well when I get those. Not today. So yes, it predates CPS. Oh dear. That's a famous symbol. There's a name for that symbol, and it's a famous symbol with Capcom. These early Capcom games, if you get a high score, you get a little different tune on the high score table. And then a little celebratory victory tune at the end. But yes, I mean, this predates CPS 1. There were several very, very popular games that came out. This one, 1942. Then you got Ghosts and Goblins. Lesser titles probably like Tiger Road, Sidearms. They all have one thing in common. They are really, really difficult games to play. I know CPS 1 games can be hard, but I find the earlier games that Capcom did to be really, really difficult. Now, the game that predates this, which I have, is Vulgus. It's by the same programmer. It's a similar style of game to 1942, but it just isn't as good as 1942. I mean, I will show it. And it has this weird enemy alien type, which are like bugs, bees, whatever. Capcom also did a game called X's, which was their first shoot 'em up. And X's is not a bad game. Not a bad game at all. They also did a game called Son, which is like a scrolling platformer where you sort of have to jump up and down different platforms to avoid the obstacles. And the very first game that they did, as far as I know, I could be wrong, it's called Pirate Ship Hinjimaru, I think it's called. That little logo works now this time. I know it had a black line through it before. So Pirate Ship Hinjimaru, it plays a bit like Pengu, if you played that by Sega, where you slide obstacles into enemies. Very good game yet again. You know, very very playable and well, very, very rare. I haven't seen many of them available, but you can see from those titles the variation that Capcom, you know, had got some very distinct ideas about getting their games out, and of course, it all really changed with the CPS1 hardware. I have got a multi for the CPS1, so I've got every single game that was released on that, as well as the more advanced Q-Sound games, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, The Punisher. It does just about everything. So I will be showing that multi eventually. But yeah, I think my earliest games that I own are probably 1984. I don't own anything. Oh, actually, I tell a lie. I do, because I have a Robotron J-Rock multi, which is 99.9% perfect and fits in the palm of your hand. Not like an original Robotron board set, which would, well, take over your house. It's so big. Yeah, that black line's back. It does come and go now and again. But yeah, it's I love this game. I think it's if you're into jammer collecting, I would, you know, and you only have a certain amount of games to get. I'd probably pick this one. I'd pick Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. I'd pick probably Bubble Bobble. Not that you can find any of these games anymore, certainly not original. What else would I pick? Probably Final Fight. Final Fight's got tremendous replayability. Robotron, obviously. Robotron is right up there with my favourite games. But yeah, if you could get those games, probably Ghosts and Goblins, or I would say Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins, preferably Ghosts and Goblins, because it started the whole genre of the Arthur Knight games by Capcom, so to speak. And then you're getting into like bullet hell shooters, um, like Batsugun, the Donpachi, Do Donpachi, and that's really the how the vertical shooter evolved. It just got maxed out, really. But for me, I still like the simplicity and the playability of these very simple early games when it's done right. And my favourite vertical shooter, my favourite, and I own quite a lot, quite a lot of popular ones. But my favourite vertical shooter, the game I think has it all, is Raiden, or some English people call it Raiden, but it's not. It's Raiden. Raiden is a fantastic game, and a game I can actually play quite well for once. But no, Raiden is a super game. It copies, but it finesses. It copies all the right things and does it right. I'm gonna show Raiden probably next on my next video. So